Hello, hello, welcome, welcome, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Courtesy of Shetland Apache, recently hosted the Engleberts Funhouse tournament. I've got a bunch of wacky and wild replays to show you all, so let's get started in just a moment here. Hopefully you all are feeling fine. Bit of a different vibe this morning. Yeah, we're gonna get started here, just getting the game loaded up, making sure I have all the replays lined up, everything's gonna flow smoothly here, hopefully. Want this to be as seamless as possible. And thank you to YouTube for the wonderful act music here. Thanks, Blevins. Blevins was actually the name of my high school weights coach. Great guy. Alright, so we have a look over here. Bear with me, guys. Still a little early. My voice is still getting a little bit warmed up. Okay, so let's get started on some replays. These are going to be in no particular order here. I'm just going to get straight to it. Yes, alright. Fade the music out here. And probably should leave a little bit longer for people to filter in, but this is going to be a pretty long one today. So, rest assured that, yeah, it's going to be plenty of time for people to join after the fact. So let's get started. We're going to be getting in, for those of you curious as to what's going on, what these replays were, you can find a link in the description to Challenge where you can view the armies and everything. And the different challenges that you could do that specifically limit your army selection. There will be a few different ones that are all going to be labeled here, I believe. But yeah, we'll get started with Pugnoban up against Grombrindle here. Pretty typical dwarf build, and I believe this is Kalita with Necropolis Knights, something about Sneck Lady. I don't remember, I did review the armies, but I don't remember all of them. To be honest, there are quite a few different challenges. But getting started here, got Kalita, the Sneck Lady, with some Necropolis Knights, got some Skeleton Chariots, front line of Skeleton Warriors, and a Deathcaster. Pretty good stuff. Dwarfs have some Iron Drakes, Trollhammer Torpedoes, looks like a Bolt Thrower, Longbeards with great weapons, Dragonback Slayers, Blasting Charges. We've got Ulthuar's Raiders as well. So, yeah. What's up, Eldrin? You got Mark Reeves here, Falcon, Shetland also hanging around, Kingpin. So we're going to fast forward through some of these replays somewhat, just because we have a lot to get through. Want to get through this early game a little bit here. You can see the dwarves positioning kind of up on this hill. They have a little bit of a slope, but Pugnoban's doing a great job keeping all of his kind of expensive, large armored units right behind Sigvald's Golden Monolith right here. The giant statue of a certain size and shape is protecting Kalita here very appropriately, and her Snecks from the mean bolt throwers. So we'll just take a minute to appreciate that. Beautiful positioning there. See some skeleton horsemen also kind of just sweeping up and around a little bit here to pressure the side potentially, but Pugnoban just being really patient here as the skeletons advance, now kind of revealing his hand. Probably going to be taking the blasting charges with the Necropolis Knights. That's honestly going to be better than taking them with the and taking them on the skeletons, because the skeletons will just evaporate very quickly. But the lack of armor piercing on the blasting charges, oh man, oh, but those Trollhammer torpedoes in the second line, that one volley just rips apart half the unit there, pretty much. Absolute brutality. Yeah, you need to be very careful of those overlapping lines of fire there, and you can see Pugnoban's like just barely outside the range. Looks like he's going to throw down a little bit of hot Purple Sun action from Arcan. Or, sorry, not Arcan, the generic Deathcaster there. And yeah, the Trollhammer torpedoes, you know, they don't actually have enough volume to take down all of these large units at the same time, which is kind of what Pugnoban's doing here. Brings the chariots forward, kind of takes it on the chin with them a little bit, but they do get into contact, and then here come the Sneck Knights as well. Yeah, the blasting charges that are trying to be thrown at the skeletons, but honestly, at this point, they're just all getting interrupted in melee. The skeleton horsemen come up and around the back, start to bog down, even like these Iron Breakers, obviously. They'll hold out just fine, but not going to be able to keep their crews protected because this is a relatively tight formation here. Those Ulthar Raiders just get torn apart very, very quickly. The Trollhammers, these two, though, are kind of able to get free over on this flank a little bit here, it looks like, and might be able to get some guard mode shots into some various units here. You can see the Necropolis Knights, quite a few of them down already, but many of them still fighting pretty well. The Trollhammer torpedoes over on this side just completely rolled up, as most of the chariots are over on this side. Even without their charge bonus, just this absolute mass of stuff. You can see Dawi flying just left and right there. They are tearing apart some of those chariots. They don't want to stay necessarily in contact for too long here, but this just massive traffic jam is not a good situation for the dwarves to be in. You can see the balance power slowly starting to turn against them. That being said, Kalita came over here, and again, these Trollhammer torpedoes don't need much. They can fire at extremely close range. The Dragonback Slayer is also helping out there. But yeah, Kalita says no Trollhammers. Snecks only. Beautiful stuff. And because of the tightness of the formation, again, all those ranged units are being occupied, and this is exactly the kind of situation that the Tomb Kings want, is for the Trollhammer torpedoes, the Ulthar's Raiders, other units to not be able to use their ranged attacks. I mean, Longbeards with Great Weapons will do damage over time to Necropolis Knights and Skeleton Chariots in a grind fight, but they don't have the best attack values in the world, so it's not going to be super efficient. And it looks like a flash bomb goes off there to catch High Queen Kalita. There are some Trollhammers who manage to get a bead on her, and that's probably going to be the end of days for the Sneck Lady. Nope, she decides to survive. Grombrindle actually gets an attack, it looks like, but the Horsemen are going to screen him out. Oop, might have still gotten an attack there. Yeah, it looks like Kalita actually does indeed go down, but will it be enough to actually save? Yeah, it looks like the Dwarves actually taking a pretty considerable lead on the balance of power. Yeah. The leadership is now going to start to give out a little bit here. And even just with a few of those Trollhammers free, it's looking pretty good. The Ushabti summon coming in. Yeah, man. Really thought the Tomb Kings had that. I guess I think the issue is that the chariots, just having been caught up in melee for too long without utilizing their charge bonus. Same thing with these Necropolis Knights. Like, that 52 charge bonus, you definitely want to be taking advantage of as much as you can. But it's hard when the dwarfs are kind of all blobbed up like this. Huh. I was actually talking about, yeah, looks like the Tomb Kings are not going to be able to sustain that assault. And Grombrindle, although things were looking pretty rough bones, he proves that you only need a couple of Iron Breakers to really make the difference. And the Slayers, and actually the Longbeards with Great Weapons, I often talk bad about Great Weapon units in general, but Longbeards with Great Weapons, because they have charge defense, immune to psychology, they actually have encourage as well, they're pretty good for, you know, kind of mid-tier Great Weapon units. So unfortunately, Sneck Lady not able to take the win there as we would have hoped. But yeah, Iron Drakes, despite the fact it's kind of funny, the one that got the most beat up is also the one that got the most work done, which is kind of interesting when you think about it. The one that took the most unit model damage, at least, actually got 2 XP chevrons, got some good high value kills. The Norgromling's Iron Breakers are just so hard to kill for the Tomb Kings because of their high melee defense. So let's go ahead and move on. I believe we've got one more from Prugnoban. Going with Throg, bunch of Skinwolves and Trolls against the Vampire Coast. Very interesting. So what do we got here? Fire Famir. Ah, okay. It's on this map. This Alpine Ridge here. We've got some Skinwolves, Marauders, a whole bunch of Javelins. So very interesting build, and the 2 Trolls, of course, with the Troll King and with a Fire Bale Fiend. Meanwhile, for the Vampire Coast, they've got Harkon, Deck Droppers, pretty kind of boring. Yeah, Mortars. It's just a Vampire Coast build. You know, you got zombie guns, zombie bombs, Queen Bess. Ooh, gonna be nasty. Yeah, thankfully there's no, like, champions or anything to shoot at, but Queen Bess can potentially generate a lot of value even just against, like, the Javelins and stuff. But here the Javelins are going to get a good volley. Queen Bess has a pretty clean miss there, and there are no gunnery wights to refill her ammo, which is a big mistake in my opinion. You can see the mortars are also kind of shooting at the skin wolves here, but yeah, those deck droppers just get shredded by javelins. Now the javelins can turn and start shooting at Harkon here, as he's overextended himself pretty significantly. It looks like they're still going after those deck droppers. Maybe a little bit of a missed opportunity potentially to do a lot of free damage to Harkon. I mean, it is a little bit hard to hit the flying single entities with the javelins, but choosing instead to just fully finish off that unit of deck droppers. And yeah, we've got Skin Wolves just kind of hanging around. The mortar's not going to do too much damage, obviously, to the Skin Wolves. It'll be pretty ineffectual. And the units that it can shoot at, obviously, the Javelins are really going to be the priority target. You can see Queen Bess realizes this as well, or at least her crew does. I'm not sure if they realize anything, to be honest. They are just zombies, after all. At the very least, Harkon orders them to shoot at the Javelins. So we'll see. So far, Queen Bess not making the best contact, honestly. One of the reasons why I'm a big fan of pairing her with a Gunnery Wight, you not only get the additional ammo, but you can also get accuracy if you want as well. Yeah, exactly. That's the disadvantage in this tournament. You get meme builds versus people who are tryharding. Exactly. So the Javelins are coming in, the gun bats, the handgun bats are getting wrecked as well, but I almost wonder again if that wouldn't be better spent on Harkon. Harkon is a bit of a raid boss, though. He has a lot of healing. You can see the bombers actually get some pretty good volleys on the marauders initially, but then the Skin Wolves come in. Here comes the Troll King as well, getting a beautiful attack, just absolutely shredding these bombers here. They're going to immediately overrun. It looks like Throg, though, probably going to get immediately Lord Sniped by Harkon, unfortunately, as the taunt and the overwhelming gunfire. Looks like we've got a gun summon as well, a pistol summon, and not looking too great. Javelins also, I think, might be doing a little bit of friendly fire on Throg, but it looks like finally they've got Harkon in their sights. Going to be getting some overlapping fire there, but I don't know if it'll be enough. Queen Bess is also still firing there. Burning Head came through, did some pretty good damage, but was slightly misangled there, or it might have been RNG, honestly. Burning Head does have a little bit of RNG attached to it. But Fireball there. That Queen Bess is still raining ammo is a bit of a problem, but I don't know that she has necessarily enough ammo to get through all of this stuff here. And Throg is routed, but he will come back. He's got regeneration, hopefully at least. He doesn't have the best leadership in the world, but as he regenerates, he'll start to regain some of that leadership. Let's see, if Harkon chooses to pursue here, he's going to get lit up by Javelins, you know, kind of making a pass, but I don't think it'll be enough to really be decisive. There are more Javelins coming, though, and if he just kind of hangs out right over top the Javelins, that's not going to be good at all for his health. We've got Trolls pushing through, also getting into the back line. The Skin Wolves managed to get back here, and looks like, unfortunately, they're not able to knock Queen Bess off of her crew, and Throg actually goes down to Harkon's pistol there. Very unfortunate situation, and Queen Bess gets beautiful contact on those Marauders right there. So things definitely not looking great for Norska. You can see the Bale Fiend trying to cut and run. He's got the Slon Gold, the Power Siphon active on him at the same time. Trying to just get out of range here and keep from getting absolutely destroyed. The Skin Wolves, thankfully, are what's keeping this balance of power actually pretty close at this point. They're able to run back here, get in on this mortar, completely shut it down. These Trolls and these Skin Wolves actually holding out reasonably well at this point. We're going to have some rallying troops also coming forward, but yeah, getting this Famir Balefiend sniped out is a big problem. Oh man, he even took the miscast damage without casting the spell. That's super bad RNG. Very unfortunate there. Yeah, he had a pretty good odds on the balance of power, at least right up until that last moment there. Potentially he could still come back, though. There's a lot of regenerating units. The Skin Wolves can't be chased off, so they will keep kind of cycling back up and around. If he can manage to keep that Balefiend, you know, alive, which he probably can't, but that's okay. The Javelins will start to come back a little bit. They can kind of pick away at Harkon as he's out in the mobile areas, and you can see the pressure hit coming now as well. Queen Bess is out of ammo, thankfully. But the bombers do fire damage, and they actually do okay damage against Skin Wolves as well. And even just the pistols and the handgun bats, because Trolls have such poor leadership, getting shot by that missile attack does debuff them significantly. And obviously, as soon as Harkon comes over and terrifies them, it's all over. But for the time being, at the very least, they can come in here and try and finish off these bombers. We've also got these two Trolls, or sorry, yeah, Trolls and Marauders over here doing relatively well. Still okay. The Skin Wolves here are also still kind of okay, but the taunt, long-range taunt on them, or I guess the captain's somewhere around here. Yeah, she's fighting there. Have some more javelins coming back. Pugnabon definitely scrapping. And I get why he took out the gun bats there, but still, that's a tough nut to crack. Yeah, unfortunately gives out there. Throg, man, is just so squishy at the end of the day. Like, he's supposed to be the tanky Norscan Lord because he has regeneration, right? But he is actually very easily sniped because of his size. Yeah, he doesn't actually have that much HP. His melee defense and armor are very poor, I would say. So, yeah, poor Throg just gets absolutely wrecked there. Yeah. Good effort from Pugnabon, though. Very brave to take this into Vampire Coast, especially. But Trolls and Skin Wolves. Yeah, it's interesting. Kind of going that regeneration route and trying to do the attrition thing against, potentially. I guess that's kind of what he was going for there, but... Yes. Alright, so here's Pugnabon. This is, again, the Snack Lady challenge, so we're going back to Tomb Kings. He's going up against Alithnar this time. And that's not actually the Lord. He's up against the Dark Elves, and it's, in fact, Hellebron. So this is another challenge. Hellebron, basically, for the Dark Elves here, the challenge is that all their units have under, I believe, 15 armor, it is. And Hellebron, that concludes Hellebron herself, although the Lord can go above that for certain other factions. But yeah, just all extremely low armor. So we've got Sisters of Slaughter, Witch Elves, we've got Harpies here, Doomfire Warlocks, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Hellebron and a Sorceress. And Snecks. We've got Sepulchral Stalkers, Khalida, Lich Priest Lord of Nehekara, we've got some Chariots, some Skeleton Spears. So right off the bat, I can tell you one thing. This light Dark Elf infantry is going to have a really bad time against these Chariots if they get good charges. I mean, one clean charge from these Chariots will pay for themselves basically instantly against something like Sisters of Slaughter, but they don't seem to care too much. They're ready to go. Sisters of Slaughter and these Witch Elves. Also that skeleton bowfire, that very cheap skeleton bowfire, going to be extremely effective. You can see the Harpies try and rush in to stop those Chariots, but they don't have the mass to stop Chariots. And yep, this is glorious. This is what everyone wanted to see, I think. Spear-leeched Chariots running over witches. Yes, the screams are music to my ears. You can see the Snecks are getting their gaze attacks here, doing some pretty good damage, although the rush is definitely coming. Those Doomfire Warlocks going straight up the pipe here. Sisters of Slaughter as well. You can see they just absolutely wreck those Skeleton Archers and basically all the units as soon as they get into contact within the red mist, of course, from Hellebron. Khalida is coming forward to try and help, defend and stabilize this area here, but it's absolutely brutal right now. Those Sisters of Slaughter, yeah, even the buff there, well countered by Pugnabon with the Incantation of Desiccation upgraded to, in fact, basically fully negate that effect there. Very nice kind of response, is able to push back the Slaanesha's Harvesters, and it looks like we got a duel between Khalida and Hellebron. This is what everyone came here to see. Well, at least we did. They're now just fighting each other's chaff kind of back to back. Come on, ladies. Fight each other. This is what we came here to see. Anyway, Chariots out in the periphery can be used to kind of push away mobile routing units. And yeah, like I said, the Witch Elves, the Sisters of Slaughter, because they're low armor, they're just going to have a really bad time against these Chariots. The shock damage from the charge bonus will be just way too much for them. But this is a really good situation for Hellebron. She definitely outmatches Khalida in terms of stats. 96 melee attack with Murderous Mastery active, and up to basically 500 weapon strength. So Khalida definitely needs to stay away, but it looks like, I think, yeah, 92 speed. Crone Hellebron is absolutely faster. Not to mention she's got Spirit Leech on her side from her caster friend there, so Can Hellebron actually get an attack is the question. The Chariots actually try and screen, but they end up just blocking Kalita instead. The Doomfire Warlocks come from the other side. Kalita does slither away, though. Like the Snack Lady she is. Doomfire Warlocks had come in and done a ton of damage to those Chariots, but the Shabti Summon also being used to try and keep Kalita safe at this point, as she is just really not wanting any part of Hellebron. Hellebron's just chasing straight through. You can see around just all these other units fighting. The Sepulchral Stalkers will actually hold up quite well here. They are going to be a unit that's relatively tough for the Dark Elves to take down, but that Soul Stealer as well, again, just concentrating everything on Kalita. It will also catch some of these other units as well, those Chariots, anything else like that. It's going to be advantageous, but Hellebron's still doing very, very well, and she also has her Mortis Effect Sword, I believe. Yes, she does. So the Cursed Blade going to be probably okay. That being said, the balance of power is turning in the Tomb King's favor. As I said, these Sepulchral Stalkers, basically nothing can take them down here that's remaining. There's not really any good armor piercing or heavy weapon damage. Yeah, I mean, the Soul Stealers, if they had been concentrated perhaps all on them, would have been okay, but there's been so much resources dedicated to Kalita. Despite the fact she's taken an absolute beating, she's managed to kind of save the Sepulchral Stalkers from taking those hits, right? So, yeah. Very appropriately, the Sneck statues are the deciding factor for the Sneck Lady's army. You can see them putting on a nice grin there. Oh, yeah. Sepulchral Stalkers are so cool. Please stop cinematic mode. No. I like watching these guys up close. Beach Day versus Sneck Lady, and you know, actually, I think I might take a lore of... I'd have to look at the armor values, but Supreme Sorceress might honestly be a better option here, and just going with lore of Dark Magic to spam as many Soul Stealers as you can. I think Marathi also has like less than 15 armor on foot. I'd have to look again. But she's probably going to be a more competitive option if you're trying to do, not that this challenge is competitive at all, but I would probably go with Marathi here. But cool to see Hellebron also. She almost beat Kalita in a duel there, but unfortunately the Sepulchral Stalkers had other ideas. So we'll go on to the next one. One more for Pugnaban, this time rolling the Troll King against Lithnar again, who is going Beach Day Challenge. That's the name of it, right? Yeah, exactly, Aristo. It's not like these are the most high-level competitive technical games anyway, right? It's meme builds. So we've got Throg here, War Mammoth, some Javelin Hunters, Balefiend Lore of Shadows. Let's see here, Skin Wolves. We've got Trolls. Pretty fun stuff. As for the Naked Elves, Sisters of Thorn, looks like Orion, and Spellsinger Lore of Beasts. We've got Azrai Spear, War Dancers, Swords, and yeah, Loix Tricksters. So pretty small army, but everything, of course, going to be very low armor. Orion being an absolute raid boss is quite helpful. The Sisters of Thorn will also be pretty decent here as well. Just kind of a decent hybrid utility unit, although they are going to have to be careful. They get outclassed by Skin Wolves pretty hard, so they have to make sure to stay on the move there. If they can catch them in an isolation, it'll be pretty good, but yeah, these Azrai Spear, War Dancers, it's just such a small army at the end of the day. So we'll see how this goes. Orion might want to try and break up this advance a little bit himself. He needs to not get KO'd by Throg and the Mammoth, though. Feral Manticore also gets summoned here. See what they can do. Snehekara Warriors, Optimus Pine, get out. Get out. So yeah, the Manticore dives in just to kind of, again, break up this advance a little bit. Here comes the Mammoth, though, straight into the Spear Dancers. I don't know that it was necessarily subject to their... Yeah, it doesn't look like it got the charge bonus. very well there, but the sword dancers, unfortunately, are just kind of gonna get run over here. The spear dancers then come in, though, and those trolls are probably gonna get torn apart pretty quick, I would imagine. A nice penumbral pendulum. Probably didn't make the best contact, but still doing it a little bit more shock damage. And just the light units, that's the issue, is light units like take so much shock damage, even from things like trolls and other units charging in. Yeah, these elves, they're not going to hold up too long, I don't think. We'll see. I mean, obviously, the Loix Tricksters have a pretty good melee defense, although they're using the attack dance right now, which is interesting, I guess. Orion charges in to try and stabilize the situation. The War Dancers actually, yeah, they're pretty much universally dying across the board. Not really any of their units are doing well in particular. Loix Tricksters might be able to do okay, but the Sisters of Thorn are taking their sweet time, making their way up and around the flank here, trying to get in. Probably just want to just charge those javelins, or at least, yeah, just trying to apply some kind of backline pressure here. It's not complete disaster. I mean, Orion is here in this pocket. He's done a number on Throg. Curse of Onrayr been popped, and yeah, Orion just absolutely tanking out the damage, but he can't win this all by himself, I don't think, necessarily. Azrai Spear and Manticore is kind of dropping on the Mammoth there. Yeah, and suddenly maybe things do start to turn a little bit. If we check back in, suddenly these Azrai Spear are actually winning combat. These other two are not, but potentially... Oh, and of course, as soon as they're winning combat, a beautiful Penumbral Pendulum is going to immediately change the balance of power in that particular engagement. We do have some Sword Dancers coming back from route, but, I mean, the balance of power is still pretty close at this point. The Sisters of Thorn, I guess, being so healthy is a big part of that. But looks like they've got some Skin Wolves in their midst, which is really not a great situation for them. Heal in the front line is going to get some of these Wood Elf units. The Loix Tricksters in particular will be great recipients for that healing, but it looks like the other recipients actually route away there, which is not the best. But they actually do manage to take care of the Mammoth, Orion, the Manticore, and everyone together. So, yeah, Alithnar actually keeping this one close. The Wood Elves fighting here in the forest, doing okay despite the odds being stacked against them in many ways. Yeah, we'll see how they do. They're looking pretty thin on numbers, but a Searing Doom, no, or yeah, Searing Orion Doom basically comes in, helps to break up some of these units. A Terror out from Orion, and suddenly Orion comes in to just absolutely deck this poor Famir Balefiend. What did he ever do to anyone? Creepy little one-eyed monster. Oh yeah, here comes Orion. There we go. Maybe, maybe not. Or maybe the Balefiend will just get terrified and absolutely run away. And suddenly the Wood Elves are starting to turn things around a little bit here. You can see the balance of power starting to tip in their favor. Those Azrai Spear, the Loix Tricksters in particular, are able to weather that assault enough. Just a little bit of healing to actually start to pull this potentially. It's not done yet. You can see the balance power swings back a little bit. Throg's going to come in, and as he regenerates, the balance power will swing even more. But Orion, obviously, more than a match for Throg. Throg definitely doesn't want to take that engagement. And another beautiful Pendulum coming in. War Dancers, a lot of them do manage to actually squeak away from that and not take too much damage there. You can see the Azrai Spears kind of switching over to go attack the Trolls, while the Sword Dancers are still sort of caught up in the melee engagement a little bit. The Spellsinger and Orion going after Throg here. Getting caught on some Norscan infantry and just giving him the absolute business. Orion is quite a bit faster than Throg, though, so even with the Frostbite effect, you know, Throg's not going to be able to get away there, and losing Throg could be a big deal for the Norskins, potentially. Likewise, losing the Spellsinger is also not great, but Spellsinger actually probably going to shatter there, and Throg gets terrified away. Unfortunately for Orion, he gets caught up on some Marauders there, and more Piercing Bolt burning, this time actually from Orion, doing some friendly fire and actually finishing off the Loix Tricksters there. And suddenly all the War Dancers are gone, just like that. Yeah, it was a valiant effort, but War Dancers are just so squishy. And especially if you actually use the Dance of more attack, that all that really means at the end of the day is that their melee defense goes down, so they're just going to die faster. It's kind of an unfortunate ability in my opinion, but Sisters of Thorn and Orion are going to kind of make their stand out in the open field, forsaking the forest. Orion uses his hounds point blank to make his stand. Can he finish off this mammoth? He gets bullied by the mammoth a little bit there, knocked around. And keep in mind, guys, that unless Orion gets taken out by, like, a few successive big hits, which, I mean, granted, with a surround of trolls, skinwolves, plus a mammoth, he definitely could. I mean, he can potentially still win this game by himself, maybe. I don't know, he is pretty low, and that Cloak of Isha will only last him so long. Again, a few big hits, or, like, volleys, or, you know, whatever, can break him. Looks like the Wood Elves are making one last push, though. Spellsinger, the Low-X Tricksters, and a handful more. Rally, just to get run over by a mammoth. Orion says, please come back, guys. And I don't think they will. I think that's probably going to be a shatter. Maybe not. Or the Shield of Thorns on these Low-X Tricksters. They've got literally 7 models left, and they're still fighting. But, yeah, together with Orion, they actually finish off that mammoth. Wow, that's pretty impressive. There's definitely scrapping here in the late game. Without the mammoth, actually, and without Throg, there's not a lot of units that have enough weapon strength to beat Orion. Is Orion going to win this? Okay, we're going to need to fast forward this somewhat, as it probably will take some time to decide the outcome. You can see the Elves kind of staying tight, keeping their units in the woods here, keeping everyone close to Orion to support their leadership. But can anyone actually take out Orion? Maybe if the Trolls and the Skinwolves get a good surround, they can actually do enough DPS. But, I mean, Orion's got pretty good melee defense. Not amazing, but 40 melee defense is okay. Let's see. Spellsinger gets shattered. Orion's going to chat it out for as long as he can, it looks like. Starts to fight the Trolls in melee, and will this be enough? Spirit Leech, or sorry, Melkos Mystifying Miasma on those Scissors of Thorn. And Orion fighting just whatever here. He catches the Bale Fiend, finishes him off. Finishes off. Yep, I think Orion's got this, honestly. I think with the Mammoth going down, that was the only thing that actually had enough weapon strength to get through the Cloak of Isha. I think Orion's got this in the bag. Let's see, there's a few War Dancers that did come back. They're in the open ground here. Yeah, Sisters of Thorn. Orion can use his missile attack here as the Azrai Spear are fighting, but honestly, he should just charge in and get a Terror Route here, which is what he does. Terrifies them away. The Bale Fiend probably going to get terrified as well. Yep, he gets terrified, and look at that swing on the balance of power. Wow. Wow. Look at that. Orion just too much of a Chad to even care. The loss of the Mammoth ends up proving decisive, as nothing can finish off the King in the woods without that massive weapon strength. Interesting. Yeah, Throg and Orion, like, Orion is just so bad. I mean, it's so much better than Throg, I mean, in pretty much every way. Yes. Yes. Oh yeah, his regular missile attack should, clearly. Oh man, fun finish there. Nice beach day win from Lithanar. And now we're going to be moving into Tank's replays. Looks like Tank also going with the Troll King. Up against Random Nick's Tretch, I think was one of the... Or is it an all-Vanguard? It's an all-Vanguard Skaven army. Whoa, we're probably going to have to pause this real quick because, yeah. I don't know if he actually did all-Vanguard, but it is an all-Vanguard Skaven army here. We've got Death Runners and Triads, a Tretch, an Eshin Sorcerer, and, yeah, Night Runners and Gutter Runners with Poison. As for the Norskins, we've got Manticore facing the wrong direction. That's a major power move right there. We've got Marauder Chariots, Skinwolves. Oh, well, yeah, of course they're facing the wrong direction. Obviously, the Vanguard deployed on the other side of the map, so yeah, it was full Vanguard. What does that actually mean, though? It means that they're just going to get run over by Marauder Chariots, Skinwolves. We've got more Manticores, Norse Controls, some Marauders on foot. The problem with all the Skaven Vanguard units is they're all very squishy. Now, that being said, the Triads, once these units get stopped, the Triads will tear them to shreds. But if they can stay moving, going to be pretty good for them. That being said, they have the poison and the snare nets, potentially other effects from the Eshin Sorcerer as well, to apply those overlapping speed debuffs. And, oh man, these trolls coming in, just full in on these Death Runners, no problem. Oh, nice miscast damage there. Probably did a bunch of damage to that troll and killed a bunch of those Death Runners as well. But yeah, the Skaven's starting to get run over immediately, as we would expect. The Triads over on this side, though, again, as soon as they start to get attacks back, look at how quickly those Skin Wolves get melted, at least for Skavens in melee. But just with the rush-oriented build of Norska here, I don't know how well this is going to go. Skin Wolves here actually just straight up losing to Triads. Okay, that's good to know. I didn't see who got the charge in this particular engagement, but Triads will just straight up beat those Skin Wolves down, so maybe the Skaven do have hope here. And actually, the range fire from the Gutter Runners and the Night Runners could be enough to break off the Trolls' leadership. We'll see. Over on this flank, these Skin Wolves, again, just dying horribly to Triads. That's very, very interesting. I love the fact that the white Skaven uniforms for the Triads are also like camouflaged into the terrain. That's pretty cool. But yeah, wow, I'm very impressed by the Triads' performances against Skin Wolves. I've never actually tried that specific engagement, I don't think. That's very interesting, though. You can see the Sorcerers cutting and running away from those Marauders. Honestly, he could probably fight them in melee just fine, but choosing not to. The Trolls getting routed away here just by the overlapping missile effects. Unfortunately for the Skaven, though, the Feral Manticore gets in the backside. The back line starts to mess things up, but yeah, the Marauder Chariots getting broken off by Gutter Runners. This is looking okay for the Skaven. I initially thought just immediately like, oh yeah, just a bunch of squishy Eshin units, they'll immediately get run over, but they're holding up okay. The Triads doing their part, the Death Runners doing their part, kind of everyone working in tandem together here. I don't know where Tretch is, but let's just forget about him because that's what he would prefer. He's actually getting absolutely destroyed by Throg right now, so let's take a minute to appreciate he's actually getting circle beaten by Trolls and Skin Wolves right now with no escape. Ah, Tretch, you totally deserved that. Every bit of it. He's dead now. What is Tretch doing? Well, Matt, I just answered your question. Tretch is getting horribly murdered. Oh man. Wow, that was wild. Yeah, Eshin's going to try and make a stand over here on this side. They do manage to catch that chariot and pull it apart very, very quickly. And same thing kind of over here. They do get an okay engagement, but the Manticores and Throg are going to be a bit of an issue at this point. There's not a lot that can take them down. I mean, the Triads have done okay against the Skin Wolves, but it's too many large targets, honestly, at the end of the day. Especially the Manticore and Throgs. Manticores, I think, and Throg being so healthy. I guess not one of the Manticores. Skin Wolves and Trolls, though, again, that regeneration, very nice. These Trolls are YOLOing in. There are quite a few Triads still here, and these Trolls have basically no support, though, so they probably aren't going to hold up too long in terms of leadership. We'll see. More Triads even coming from the top of the hill, so got some kind of spell effect going off here. Brittle Bone, upgraded Brittle Bone to debuff the melee defense. Yeah, 0 melee defense on both those Trolls and the Skin Wolves, and they're also speed debuffed as well. They have a harder time escaping there. Will it be enough to bring the Skaven back into this? I don't think so. They're teetering on the edge of army losses right now, despite those 2 breaks. Again, Throg and the Manticore are way, way too much at this point. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. You can see the chariot sort of chasing over on the low ground there, chasing those Night Runners away. Not that they have any more ammo, but yeah, one big tear route will probably trigger critical army losses there. Nice little Warp Stars from the Eshin Sorcerer, but he's now going to get the Troll beat down here. So nice Troll Squad. Nice meme battle, honestly. Troll Squad versus all Vanguard Skaven, which is just very, very risky. That's probably one of the riskiest things I can think of, but credit to Random Nix, played that very, very well and did a lot better than I was expecting in this particular situation, considering he was up against like a monster chariot rush. Surtha Ek would definitely approve of this build from Throg, absolutely. So well played to Tank there, well played to both, honestly. Great, great job. Give me just a sec here to grab a drink and powering through. Yeah, nice to see Skaven without artillery or guns. I agree. I agree. Alright, so next up, Tank going to be rolling Troll King again, and Chosen One. So normally there are like a minimum model count restrictions for tournaments, but there was a specific army with Kroxigors where that restrictions lifted. So we've got a Dread Saurian here, Kroxigor Ancient, a Cohort of Quaddle, Sacred Kroxigors, and Kroxigors. Beasts of Tashnar for Norska. We've got Ice Trolls up front with some Famir Great Weapons, Throg, Marauders, and Marauder Hunters. I'm actually very interested. This is going to be like the clash of monstrous infantry, right? We've got Famir and Ice Trolls versus Kroxigors. Two varieties of Kroxigors. Plus the Dread Saurian. Oh, man. I have to say, this is a very small detail aside as the battle gets going, but I love the like checkerboard pattern on Throg's cape here. Anyway, just thought I'd point that out. Saurian charges immediately in, because what else is there to do? As do the Kroxigors. You can see the throwing axes already, though, getting some really good damage, as are the Ice Trolls and the Famir there as well. The Dread Saurian comes in to start just one-shotting models, though. Throg needs to be very careful not to fight Saurian mano-a-mano, but the Famir are going to do exceptionally well here. The Trolls are immediately going to get terrified, as is tradition, but actually Norska has a much greater volume of monstrous infantry here, because obviously not having the Dread Saurian gives them, you know, just way more monstrous infantry, and their monstrous infantry are also better. Like, I would say Trolls and Famir are... I don't know if Trolls are necessarily better than Kroxigors, but Famir for sure are better than Kroxigors, just straight up. This is not the best engagement for the Lizardmen, honestly, here. The Saurian's going to have to be carrying this pretty hard, and without healing, it could be tough. Now, that being said, the Ice Trolls and everyone for Norska getting terrified very quickly. Famir are somewhat weak to terror as well, but you can see how quickly this right side of the Kroxigor build was just torn apart, and the left side is being won by the Lizardmen, so a little bit of trade, even back and forth. Right now, slightly in Norska's favor, as though the Marauder Hunters able to get some good armor-piercing shots, but the issue is that obviously the Trolls and such regenerate. I guess just the Trolls. Famir do not regenerate, but neither do the Kroxigors, so in that way, the Trolls, as they regenerate and then come back, it's going to give Norska a pretty good balance of power, like second wave almost, that the Lizardmen just simply do not have the tools to chase off. Yeah, Kroxigors do need buffs, I agree. Yeah, I would definitely agree that Kroxigors need buffs, but Ice Trolls are a little bit of a meme unit as well. Lizardmen did not bring any fire damage here whatsoever. I don't know if they were allowed to. I think they had to bring the Kroxigor Ancient, but yeah, Norscan Ice Trolls are actually like more than 40% weak to fire, which is kind of hilarious when you stop and think about it, but Throg's lads doing pretty good here. The Kroxigor Ancient holding things up along with the Saurian, but look at this just horde of monstrous infantry, man. All of these Ice Trolls and Famir. It's an absolute just mess. Absolute mess. Saurian's holding his own. Taking a while to go down, but that armor-piercing fire from the Hunters is going to be pretty nasty, and the balance of power as well. We'll just finish off the big boy. Yeah, the Sacred Kroxigors are just kind of non-functional almost, because their stats are so bad in terms of their attack and defense. For how expensive they are, they're just pretty abysmal, to be honest. That could be a rule, Loopy. I like that. Okay, so next up, tank. Oh boy, Evil Cackle. I think this one is you had to take a certain number of units classified as chariots. I think it was, what, 4 units classified as chariots? So, as the vampire counts, including Helmengorst. So, obviously, then we have Helmengorst with Corpse Cart, 2 regular Corpse Carts, and I believe a Balefire. Yes, Balefire up front. Blood Knights, 2 Blood Knights, 2 Vargolfs. A Graveguard with great weapons. We've got some Zombos. So, pretty similar to my Pentacart build, but just slightly different. Slightly less carts. 1 less cart, which makes me slightly sad. And, yeah, you've got the Graveguard with great weapons, which I would probably not bring and just go wider, but that's just me. As for the opponent, looks like a quad hippo build. I don't know if this is necessarily one of the challenges or if someone just elected to bring this normally, but it's both cool and strong. Meanwhile, there is a force over here going to be taking the hill high ground. We've got peasant mobs, beast slayers of Bastion, some more pole arms, and yeah, just pole arms. So, Gorst and 3 other chariots. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, the Gorst Master is definitely a terror in the night here. You can see, we're going to fast forward this, you can see the Bretonnians kind of taking up position in the woods here. But yeah, since he's not charging down with these units, he can't necessarily just, you know, not advance. He could potentially just like get all of these together and go all in on one Blood Knight. You would have to basically delete it before they can have a chance to heal it, which is going to be pretty hard. And without getting countercharged by the other Blood Knight, it's just going to be difficult for sure. But I wonder what it would look like, honestly. If I were playing this, I might just try it just to see. But oh man, what was that? Was that a Wind of Death that just went off there? Oh, that's the Scabsgrath from the White Kings. Okay. I was a little confused there. Yeah, it's an item for the White King. A nice little AoE cone attack. Gorst speed. This is very critical information to get as soon as possible. But yes, Helmengorst has 23 speed. 23 speed. You can see these peasants holding their little halberds out, their little bardiches and bills and so on. Double Corpse Cart, triple Corpse Cart, both coming into melee. Absolute bumper carring in the front line. This is the real meta, guys. But here comes the bunker bust. Now, I'm not going to say this is a mistake to go all in immediately and try and kill Helmengorst, because you're doing the world a favor by doing so, but it is a mistake, honestly. And oh man, oh no, oh man, oh, by the lady. Wow, I know it's mostly just peasants and men-at-arms, but Gorst, absolute Gorsted. Yeah, let's see. How many kills? 454 kills on Helmengorst. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, that's going to be the end for Bretonnia. With no support, these, yeah, these birdies, they can't win this entire battle by themselves, despite how strong they are. Oh, man. That was a price. That was a price to be paid. Oh, oh yeah. Yeah, at this point, it's just a matter of fast-forwarding until those birdies give up the fight, which, I mean, granted, they're going to grind pretty well here, all things considered. And, I mean, if he just had a few more infantry units, yeah, here we go. Get those few infantry units in, try and cycle charge. Gorst gets killed. Okay. So, Gorst does actually die here. This is mission accomplished. Or does he? Please tell me he does. If he doesn't, I'm going to be so upset. Looks like the Vargolfs are going to come in and probably bail him out, because crumbling is absolutely a balanced and valid game mechanic. There's nothing wrong with it in any way whatsoever. And Gorst actually recovers his leadership and continues to fight to the chagrin of Bretonia, and that will probably very quickly lead to critical army losses, so... Yep. Wow. Oh, yeah. That was beautiful. 455 kills on Helmengorst with that Wind of Death. Oh, man. And all those men-at-arms had, like, chevrons, too. So that was actually value, like value Wind of Death. Wow. Wow. Yeah. From my perspective on this battle from Random Nick's side, I would say going after Helmengorst, I mean, I get what you're going for there. If you were to finish him off, that'd be good. But I would probably go after the Blood Knights first and just try and delete them. Like, all four, make sure you get, like, a proper surround and just multi-charge all four of them onto one Blood Knight and see if you can... I don't know if you'd be able to take them out, honestly, in one go like that. But... normal units that have actual leadership, you can route them that way, but since undead are unbreakable, I don't think it would necessarily work against Blood Knights. Let's get one more battle here from Tank. Looks like Helmengorst, very similar build. He's got the 2 White Kings with Scabscrath on foot, skeletons and zombies this time. Again, 2 Graveguard. He's got 2 Corpse Carts, and a Black Coach is legal, does count as a single entity chariot. Got 2 Vargulfs, 3 Black Knights. As for the Skaven, let's have a look here. We've got Tretch, so another Tretch challenge. We've got Plague Pack here, Skaven Slaves, Clan Rat Spears, Rattling Gunners, Ix's Triads. Got Warp Lightning Cannons, Zap Zap, and a Plague Priest. It's a pretty interesting Skaven build. Yep, right, Shetland. And I'm not salty about crumbling, St. Augustine. I can prove mathematically that crumbling is overpowered. Like, it's not opinion. It's fact. It's scientific fact. Like, I'm probably gonna write a paper about it, to be honest. Anyway, the spread here is going to be pretty important. You can see the Skaven player is falling for the bait, which is to shoot at the 250-point corpse cart. You should never shoot the 250-point corpse cart. You should just ignore it until it dies from army losses, basically. And not to mention the friendly fire is actually friendly firing these Warp Lightning Cannons here, which is kind of hilarious. But, yeah. You can see the Vargulfs pulling up and around the side. The Black Coach also coming in, so some really nice disruption. Black Knights, they'll be able to break Skaven Slaves probably pretty quickly there with that anti-infantry bonus. Don't have the most charge bonus. Actually, no, they didn't do a whole lot of damage there, to be honest. But Black Coach is coming through for disruption, and the Black Knights can, like, punch one model through, get on those rattling guns. The Black Coach, that's what it's called, also can do a beautiful job disrupting, although it's going to get absolutely shredded by Ix's Triads if it doesn't get up and on the move. But at the very least, it's allowing the vampire counts to advance a lot of their units. A beautiful Scabscrath, too, right through those plague packs there, doing a great job doing some AoE damage. But yeah, the Black Knights here getting shredded. The Black Coach also getting shredded, but he is finishing off these Teeth Breakers here. Likewise, the Warp Grinders, yeah, haven't taken any damage, but the Vargulf's just kind of working on spears here. Looks like they're going to punch through and try and get in on the Warp Lightning Cannons. Black Knights running some disruption over on the far side as well, so a great job disrupting that Skaven missile presence and advancing kind of all hands on deck. Got Skeletons in the front line duking it out with Plague Packs. Obviously, the Light Scabs will win that engagement no problem, but especially with the Vigor Mortis support, the Zombies will fight for quite a long time there, and look at this slog too. It's not going to be the greatest situation for the Skaven because obviously almost all their infantry units count as infantry size, so they are going to be debuffed, kind of fighting in this bog here. Whereas like the Vargulfs, obviously the Black Coach are not, so will be an advantageous situation for the vampire counts in that aspect. Looks like Graveguard taking a lot of damage though. White King still fighting. You can see the Plague Pack's also still fighting. We've got the Snare from the Warp Grinders holding all these units in place. This Corpse Cart just about dead. Tretch is actually trying to finish it off in melee, which is kind of hilarious. Something that Tretch can actually beat in melee. The Vargulfs, though, are causing huge problems in the backline. There's really not a great response for them. You can see the Black Coach also running around in the backline as well. We've got the White King on foot. It's absolutely all anarchy, vampire anarchy in this backline swamp area. I love the Black Coach. Such an awesome unit. Very silly. I don't know why. I just love haggard, ridiculous chariots, including the corpse carts as well. Skaven have their own haggard, ridiculous chariot, which is just still fighting in the center here, trying to do its best to drain out all these skeleton units, but it's actually doing okay. The skeleton warriors, the Graveguard with great weapons are pretty much done for here, and yeah, managed to keep the balance of power from getting too far out of hand. It is definitely in the vampire count's favor, though, at this point. And there's just really not great tools for killing these Vargulfs here. Definitely over-reliance on warp lightning cannons. It's so hard to protect missile units against the vampire counts. Like, I personally almost never bring artillery and like stationary missile units, even infantry skirmishers, like, you know, unless there's something like, I don't know, Savage Orc Air Boys, you know, something that can handle themselves in melee against, like, zombie summons, for example. Because otherwise, it's so hard to protect your missile units here. You've never seen a Black Coach versus Skaven. Really, Shetland, I think they're very strong in this matchup. This is actually probably the best matchup for the Black Coach, in my opinion. One of them, at least. They are actually very strong here. I mean, single-entity chariots are just good against the Skaven in general, right? And the Black Coach, especially, if we can check in with it, once it gets, yeah, it's over here. Once it gets its buffs kind of rolling, we have a look here. I don't know if it's, yeah, fully active. 109 charge bonus is absolutely bonkers, meaning it's pretty much guaranteed to hit almost any unit in the game on the charge. Maybe not quite almost any unit, but it's absolutely ridiculous, especially for the Skaven, who don't really have much melee defense. And, I mean, these are just kind of, once they're active, so you get Strider, you get fire damage, you get damage resistance as well. It's so strong. 44% damage resistance. I mean, once this thing gets going, it gets going for sure. For sure. 78 speed. I love Black Coaches. Don't get me wrong, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about there that people think I want them to remove crumbling. I don't want that at all. I think crumbling is absolutely necessary. You know, it's flavorful and fun. It's just the way it's currently implemented, it's not working properly. And again, I have a video coming up. I don't know if I'll be able to finish it this week. For sure, by next week, I'll have a video, my UI series. My next video in that series is actually all about health and leadership, including, you know, I talk about healing and direct damage spells, and I talk about regular leadership, you know, what it takes to break a unit, what it takes to shatter a unit, a lot of the different possible effects. And I also go into disintegration and crumbling, the exact math behind, you know, what it takes to get a unit to disintegrate, what it takes for a unit to crumble, how much damage crumbling does, all that jazz. We're going to deep dive into that in that video. And at the end of that video, if you're not convinced that crumbling's in its current implementation overpowered, like, I think you're probably delusional, to be honest. Like, based on the evidence I've uncovered, I don't think that it's working as Creative Assembly has intended it to be honest. Yeah, Kepler Guard have weakness to fire. Infantry that have weakness to fire. Yeah, I think it's just Kepler Guard and Sternsmen. Oh, no, Dryads as well, of course. Dryads are an infantry unit, and they're absolutely weak to fire damage. Oh, why does it have fire damage? The Black Coach? I don't know. I've never really understood that. Actually, Hex Wraiths do as well, which is kind of nice. Not a lot of people realize that. Granted, the matchups where you would need fire damage, like Tomb Kings, Norska's a no-go. Don't bring ethereal units against Norska, please. It's such a bad idea. Famir will make you very sad. As will a lot of other units. against Tomb Kings, I mean, the thing is, like, their lords are weak to fire, right? So this thing being, you know, having extra fire damage doesn't really help there much. But yeah, it is a counter to Dryads. Not that you need more counters to Dryads, but... But you can... here's the thing, though. I'm saying it's not good at fighting single entities. If you cycle charge this thing into single entities, it has a 109 charge bonus. Like, it will actually do damage if you're cycle charging aggressively. 109 charge bonus is legit. I mean, it still only puts it at like 200 weapon strength, but it's enough melee attack that it will get hits, absolutely. And yeah, very impressive from Tank there. 140 kills, 2 XP chevrons for said Black Coach. The Vargolfs did great for disruption as well. Black Knights cleaning up a ton of kills in one instance, 179, 261. Graveguard with great weapons, just cleaning up that Skaven horde. 76 for the awful, awful Gorstman himself, who managed to survive basically unscathed. And yeah, for Chosen One here, again, just way over Alliance on the ranged units. To be honest, I wouldn't take this matchup as the Skaven against a competent Vampire Counts player. Even with, like, the most degenerate blob build you can think of, it's just, the Vampire Counts out blob you every time. So, yeah, I don't know about every time. If they haven't constructed their build correctly, then they'll lose. But if the Vampire Counts have made an appropriate build, then you should never lose to the Skaven blob, in my opinion. Well, Shetland, you know, I think Gorst might actually be good. Now, don't quote me on that, but having been memeing with him a lot lately as well with this Pentacart build, I think Gorst might actually be kind of good. So, yeah. There's that. No, Hexwraiths have magic damage. Hexwraiths have fire damage. Cairnwraiths just have magic damage, and the Chill guys, the Regiment of Renown Hexwraiths, also just have magic damage. But, here, I can even show you right now. This is a little bit of an aside, but just because somebody asked. We have a look at Vampire Counts. Regular Hexwraiths do fire damage. So, like, again, Wood Elves against tree units do magic damage, so don't even try it. Against Norska, you're very likely to face Famir. It's going to be bad. Tomb Kings is the one where I say maybe you want to actually take some Hexwraiths and try them out against a Tomb King's Lord. Like, if you can get an isolation, they do have really bad stats. I mean, just horrible attack and charge. They have pretty good weapon strength. It's comparable to something like a Questing Knight. So if you can get a good surround and cast with, like, 2 of them, for example, on a Tomb King Lord, cast to overcast Dance Macabre, so they get extra melee attack, they'll do very well against a Tomb King Lord. But that's like the one use case where you actually get benefit from the fire damage, in my opinion. Like, there's really not any other matchups where that's going to be reliably useful, I would say. But oh, stop, Optimus. Yeah, the one use case for this, I think, is potentially against Tomb Kings, but even then, like, Tomb Kings also still have a pretty good selection of magic damage. It's not amazing, but they do have a good amount. So, I mean, even then, it's still risky. But, yeah, there's not a lot of applications for that, but it's kind of nice to know. Anyway, back to the replays. Yeah, in a Vampire Mirror, they could be good, but also they counter themselves. So if your opponent brings Hexwraiths and you both just charge each other, like, it's just totally RNG dependent who will win. But anyway, having a look here, we've got another Tomb Kings. Let's see, Khalida, I didn't catch, or Tomb King. Wow, Tomb King on foot. He's got a Lich Priest, Lore of Light. We've got Ushabti Greatbows, Skeleton Archers, Skeleton Spearmen, Nakara Horsemen, and Tomb Guard. Interesting. Kind of an infantry-based build. Orion going to be leading the way for the Wood Elves. Is this a Beach Day build? We've got Sisters of Thorn, we've got Spellsinger, Lore of Beasts, Lore of Life. Yes, this is the Beach Day build we saw before for the Wood Elves, Azrai Spear, and War Dancers. So Orion coming forward to be the absolute Chad that he is, going to just take these Ushabti Greatbow shots on the chin, potentially. Nope, he decides to very tactically hide in the trees right here. I am the king in these woods. If we turn on the foliage there. You can't see me. The king in the woods. Oh, ridiculousness. Okay. So, yeah. Sisters of Thorn keeping their distance, though, not wanting to take the Ushabti Greatbow fire. And my issue here is that this elf build is really small, like in terms of model count. It's going to have a hard time against all of these skeleton archers, and Tomb Guard in particular will actually hold up pretty decently against sword dancers. So let's see how this goes. Sisters of Thorn, looks like they're going to be all in charging on the Nehekhara Horseman. Nehekhara Horseman also getting caught up by these Azurai Spear. You can see they get hit by that Curse of Onrayer there. They're going to get poisoned by the Sisters of Thorn missile attack. The Sisters of Thorn can come in and get some good damage in. Hounds of Orion being unleashed there, but Orion's just taking an absolute pounding. Looks like I heard a net go off. It looks like it was Orion. Will his Cloak of Isha be enough to save him? This is such a high volume of fire that it doesn't look like Cloak of Isha is going to be able to save him. Earthblood also comes in. The damage resistance and the healing just trying to stave off that type of damage. He goes down below 500 HP there. Back up above 500, just spiraling wildly out of control in terms of his HP. Very, very interesting situation. We do have Manticore Summon being used. Looks like Orion is actually going to pull back there, realizing that this situation is pretty desperate. That being said, these Sisters of Thorn taking a little bit of damage from that focus fire, but as the focus fire kind of wears more and more, they're not going to hold up for a long time against that. Yeah, it looks like it is starting to kind of wear them down a little bit there. The Sword Dancers haven't been able to cut through these Tomb Guard quickly enough. Tomb Guard do get the Baroness Time Warp and actually punch back pretty well also, but here these War Dancers are able to find a little bit of a gap, get up and through. The Spell Singers as well, just coming in, disrupting these skeletons. Same thing with the Manticore here, getting on these Ushabti. But man, these Sisters of Thorn just taking so much focus fire from those skeletons. It's very, very painful for them. They have probably got a little bit of healing. Looks like the Loix Tricksters are also up and around this backline as well, just to make sure that like these Nehekhara Horsemen and these Ushabti Greatbows can't really get a free hand. Yeah, these Ushabti Greatbows are in big trouble. The Loix Tricksters have been able to engage them basically not quite on a full surround, but skeleton archers also somewhat being dealt with as the Tomb Guard start to kind of fall apart a little bit here. This Tomb Guard, though, traded very efficiently into a War Dancer with Azurai Spear, with that Baroness Time Warp especially. So, yeah, so far, looking pretty good for the Tomb Kings. The Wood Elf's build is just so small and very thin in terms of model count. Did Orion get finished off? He must have got finished off, which is very impressive. I don't see him anywhere, and and must have just got finished off. Cloak of Isha, unfortunately, was not enough to sustain. Oh, no, he's still here. He's over there. Okay, that's fine. He's going to come back and throw down a Vortex spell right on top of this last unit of archers. Looks like we're going to get a new Ushabti summon. Oh, man, it does catch like half that unit of Sisters of Thorn. Very nice placement there. Meanwhile, the rest of the sisters push through. Nehekhara Horseman and that Ushabti summon going to be tying them up, though. And we've got another Hounds of Orion also being dropped. We've seen Orion Chad games out before, though, and as long as he can stay safe from this overwhelming missile presence, shut down the rest of these missile units, I mean, the Tomb King can't take him out in melee, I don't think. Maybe. He does have 450 weapon strength, but I just don't see that happening necessarily. I guess these two units are now the danger, right? Oh, yeah, and he's hitting critical army losses right at the wrong time. Oh, man. Maybe Orion could have chatted that one out, but the Feral Manticore gets summoned and immediately hits critical army losses. That's very painful. Yeah. That's pretty much it for Orion. I mean, he has quite a bit of HP, but not enough HP to fully stand up and just gets isolated and taken down there. So, yeah, Pugnabon able to take out that one. I guess, what was the challenge with this one? Yeah, I guess you'll have to let me know. Was it just to win with the Tomb King? Elithnar trying again with the Beach Day build. Not quite working out that time, but... Ah, that's funny. That's funny. Wood Elves complaining about being Lord sniped. I know, right? uh, Orion needs crumbling. No way. I think Orion's fine, to be honest. Considering how weak the Wood Elves are as a faction, Orion's totally fine. I wouldn't even say he's competitive, to be honest. Anyway, let's move on. I think that was the last one from Tank. So, Loopy now, or what? Why was that one labeled Loopy, but it actually is from Pugnobon? I'm confused. Wait, this is the game we saw earlier. What? What is this? Lady and the Tramp. Oh, okay. Yeah, we already saw that one. I'm confused. Anyway. Okay, so then what's this one here? So we saw that one. Oh, here we go. We can check out some of Aristo's replays. First is this Lady and the Tramp as well? What is the Lady and the Tramp one? Can you guys explain this to me? Oh, okay. Okay. I see, I see. So this one is a prince on a sun dragon. He's got archers with light armor and archers in combination, 5 in total. White lions of trace, looks like 5 of them. Mage lore of life, a noble on a chariot, and dragon princes. For the dwarves, looks like a pretty straightforward dwarf build. Got, yeah, 2 troll hammers, couple guns, a grombrindle, long beards with great weapons, plus the grumbling guard, dragonback slayers, and a cannon. Ah, I see, I see. Orion in an all-girl army. I see, Lady and the Tramp. Okay, I mean, I guess I thought that was Beach Day, but it could have fit into both, I guess, because Orion and all those units do have low enough armor. I guess does that fulfill both, technically? Oh, one prince on a sun dragon, one dragon prince. Okay, that's interesting. Man, look at these elf archers, though, doing a great job counter-skirmishing these longbeards. This is a really good way for elves to contest the range fight against dwarves, is to actually, like, kite them, but not as you would think with, like, 360 shooting units, because you're just straight up faster than the dwarves. Your basic infantry missile units, which are archers, can kite them, right? So you shoot a volley, pull back, shoot a volley, pull back. And you can see these Thunderers are getting very, very worn down. Despite their missile block chance and armor, just through volume of fire, very impressive stuff. Now let's see, can they kind of sustain, continue to pull Grombrindle apart? These Longbeards are coming forward. They're going to get a one-on-one engagement. Well, I guess with Grombrindle, not really one-on-one, but getting one-on-one engagements of White Lions versus Dwarf Warriors is very advantageous, or Longbeards for that matter. Very advantageous for the High Elves here, so yeah, just like this, Longbeards mono-y-mono with White Lions. This is exactly what you want when you're pulling apart the Dwarfs like this. Excellent engagement here. Longbeards, depends a little bit on the RNG because they're melee defense, but obviously they're not going to be great there. The Trollhammer torpedoes flying up in the sky, they actually have a hard time hitting the Sun Dragon because of its smaller hitbox, which is a slight advantage there. Although it does have a lot less HP, obviously, so it has to watch out for those cannon shots. The Trollhammer torpedoes, though, being dealt with very nicely. This other one's going to turn and get a crossfire along with these other guns, though. Great focus fire from Grombrindle there. And look at how quickly that Prince gets absolutely shredded by those Trollhammer torpedoes. Trollhammers are just so scary. A quick regrowth throw, going to keep that Prince in the fight. And look at that Armor of the Stars he used on the Noble to keep him hidden until he's basically on top of those Thunderers, keeping him from taking too much missile fire there from the Trollhammer torpedoes. Beautiful use of that Armor of Stars. That's probably the best use of that I've ever seen. be honest. And yeah, these white lions are kind of taking it a little bit on the face, but they're also providing a situation where the archers can then focus fire in and respond very efficiently and take out those thunderers. The white lions fighting in various different engagements. I mean, like I said, Grombrindle is going to make this particular engagement wherever he goes very painful. Other than that, though, the white lions will be winning out quite nicely, and you can see the dragon princes have now taken the flank here, helped to break one unit of Longbeards, and now pursuing, overrunning, if you will, into the back line. All right. Oh, the Trollhammers get a beautiful volley. Quite a few of them getting taken down, but the charge does land very critically, and they're going to take a ton of damage from that charge. Trollhammers don't have a lot of HP because of their low model count. Their armor is very high, but yeah, they're going to get wrecked by that. You can see the other Trollhammers now being focused fire by the archers. And the Prince on the Sun Dragon is still healthy enough to keep contributing. He's going to run over here, run over some Longbeards. But this is basically the end of the Dragon Princes, right? Caught in between two units of Trollhammer torpedoes. There's no hope for them whatsoever. Man, Trollhammer torpedoes are so strong. They're so good. Look at that. Just, it's absolutely melted in seconds. Very impressive. That being said, their long range is going to come in against them in this situation. A potential breath attack going to be used here. Does get some nice kind of spread damage on those Grumbling Guard there, doing quite a bit of AoE. Got White Lions fighting some Longbeards over here. A handful of White Lions still healthy over here. Going to come get some rear charge assist. Longbeards with great weapons will trade very efficiently with White Lions, but yeah, the Dwarf Warriors having to sacrifice themselves to keep them from being rear charged there. We've also got the Noble being healthy. Yeah, the Noble plus the Sun Dragon I think is going to be a major problem, and as the Dwarf heroes start to get taken out, that will affect the balance of power pretty significantly. The Prince on the Sun Dragon, I mean, although it has a pretty small hitbox, is still 460 weapon strength in total, which is pretty decent, considering the cost especially. And Trollhammers here, eating some arrows to the face. Again, that low health, low model count will work against them in this situation, with the focus fire of those archers doing effective damage despite the high armor. Right? Oh, man. Yeah, those Dragon Princes just get shredded. Just absolutely mown down. But I don't think it's going to be enough to save the dwarves. You can see the Dragonback Slayer is now going to be the recipient of all of the arrows here. They do have a missile block chance. But that 0 armor means they'll take a lot of focus fire. Yeah, we'll see. Trollhammer torpedoes also taking focus fire, but that Noble's got to be careful, man. Those Trollhammers, even with a low model count, are still very, very dangerous. But looks like he's trying to potentially get some positioning here to bring the Prince in and the Noble as well at the same time to finish off these last couple units. Looks like the Noble is going to get a nice side charge there. Grombrindle comes in and drops a smoke bomb, though. So he should be able to catch this chariot, get a couple of attacks in on it. That Noble not in the best situation. He looks like he's going to get a regrowth now, as these Trollhammers will probably turn and start firing at him. Grombrindle also gets a couple of attacks there. Yeah, absolutely brutal. Armor of Stars being popped as well, but it's not enough, and the Noble just gets absolutely blasted there. Just kersploded, and that is going to turn the balance of power slightly in the Dwarves' favor. The Archers don't have a ton of ammo left. They've got a pretty good amount, and the fact that there's still these kind of White Lions operating out in the periphery as well, these Archers, the cannon is just about out of ammo also, so we'll see. We'll see. Oh man, some very treacherous friendly fire hitting some of those Dragonback Slayers. Danger close from the cannon. It's literally got 0 shots left, apparently. Probably just like on its last shot for a couple of the models there. So we're going to fast forward a little bit, as it will look to be a little bit of a long late game. Cannon crew gets taken out there, and now it's just a matter of weathering the storm. The High Elves are going to use up the last of their ammunition. Take out any high-value targets they can to secure the dragon. Make sure it can stay safe. That is going to be the Slayers, Trollhammer torpedoes as priority. Taking out Grombrindle is going to be tough as well. But Yeah, that's exactly what you need to do in this situation. Very painful for the dwarves, obviously. Not a lot they can do, but just because you have so much ammo still, you want to use that if you can. A breath attack was a little bit of a swing and a miss, but you can see the last of the Trollhammer torpedoes get picked off there. The Slayers, last of the Slayers also getting picked off. That is going to equalize the balance of power somewhat. The Archers are now having to fight in melee, which is just terrible, to be honest. Thankfully, they do still have their martial prowess, though, so they've got, what, 30 melee defense? That's actually not the worst. Longbeards only have 30 melee attacks, so it's not like the archers are actually going to die particularly quickly, except to the Grumbling Guard. But we'll just keep things in fast forward as the dragon cycle charges, as it should. It gets caught by a smoke bomb, though. Gromrindal's really good at kind of preventing that cycle charging as a character. Get those smoke bombs and, you know, still get some attacks in, not just get completely torn away. But eventually the High Elves do kind of tell with their numbers and their mobility. Gromrindal gets some good attacks on that mage there, but eventually the Prince on the Sun Dragon able to win the day. So very well played to Aristo. That was a fun one. That was a fun one. Yeah, almost through the game early on, getting the Sun Dragon melted by Trollhammers, but able to kind of stay calm, keep things sustained, good regrowths. Except for that one noble that died in the middle of his regrowth. Let's not think about that. Okay. So this is a Dragon King, but without Dragon Princes. Now that sounds like some treachery. But you did bring 4 Tyrannok chariots, so that makes me happy. Yeah, dwarves are not very good in a lot of situations. Anyway, is this a Surtha Elf build? I feel like this should be a Surtha Elf. I don't know, Shetland, if you made a Surtha Elf custom rules set for a Surtha Elf army, a chariot-based elf army, but I think that is something that needs to be done, considering that this army is very much in that flavor. Anyway, yeah, we've got 4 Tyrannoks, a bunch of Lothern Seaguard, a Noble Chariot, Prince on a Star Dragon, and a Life Mage. A bunch of deckhand mobs up front for the coast. We've got Bombers, Mortar, Rotting Prometheans, deckhands. It's a boring vampire coast, to be honest. And pretty good stuff so far. The Tyrannok Chariot's just kind of doing some skirmishing, kind of picking away at skeletons with their ranged attacks. They do have a little scatter shot on their ranged attack, so it actually is okay at kind of picking away at infantry like this in a little bit of a long game. You can see the Hounds are not too happy with this harass. They're going to go out and maybe get themselves killed, but deciding actually that maybe charging chariots is not the best idea in the world. Are these just pistols? No, they are handguns, so chariots do have to be a little bit careful of that fire there, but Lothern Seaguard can now come forward, and yeah, the High Elves are just going to say, you want to shoot? Okay, let's shoot. And they're going to focus all their fire here on some of these ranged units like the Black Spot and this other unit of handgun mobs. Pretty good stuff. Meanwhile, the Tyrannok Chariots are just picking away at the flanks here. And the Noble Chariot can start to run some disruption, maybe pull these Rotting Prometheans away into a situation where they can get isolated as well. And suddenly the zombies are forced to advance. This is never a situation you want to be in as a Vampire Coast player because, you know, Coast is very much a static faction. And these 23 speed zombies are going to be slower than the 36 speed Elves. So the Elves can kite reasonably effectively here. And yeah, suddenly, again, the zombies going to be all separated from the main line here. That allows a bunch of units to come in. Chariots do get a little bit caught up by those Rotting Prometheans, and the Prince comes in. Blade of Belcaradris active, Foe Seeker as well. That good armor-piercing damage going after those Rotting Prometheans, just trying to take them out. The Noble Chariot also charges in. He does armor-piercing damage. And yeah, we've got some handgun mobs also caught up in this engagement, which is just great for the High Elves. Chariots now coming forward to start doing some disruption in melee. As the zombies fight the Lothern Sea Guard, they won't do particularly well. Lothern Sea Guard pretty decent in melee, so zombies are not going to particularly shine there. Looks like the Phoenix is coming in for a nice rear charge, probably, on these rotting Prometheans. Yep. Noctilus throws down his boring rocks from the sky, which are going to do some pretty decent damage to the Prince on the Sun Dragon. Only 70 armor there, but not a whole lot. And with the rotting Prometheans going down, the guns being all interrupted, it's looking pretty good already for the High Elves. I mean, granted, the balance power is still pretty close, and the mortar is able to break up a lot of these Lothern Sea Guard, despite the fact the zombies absolutely lost out in that engagement. Lothern Sea Guard probably already paid for themselves. It's hard to say. But this little blob is turning into a little bit of a bad situation for the High Elves. Throw a nice heal on those Tyrannok Chariots and start to pull them away. Tyrannok Chariots definitely need to try and stay active and mobile, but also convincing the bombers to throw their bombs into friendly zombies is a little bit of a scam. They will definitely do some friendly fire there. That's just fine for the High Elves. Yeah, the Tyrannok Chariots actually do take a surprising amount of damage from those bombers, but again, the friendly fire there is pretty extraordinary, to be honest. The Phoenix is taking a lot of gunfire from this unit of zombie guns, so the Chariot comes in. Looks like actually the Black Spot. Chariot comes through to get a charge. A beautiful dragon breath attack out in the distance there. Let's see how it goes. Looks like that unit of Chariots actually just got shattered there by a bunch of zombies, and somehow this unit of rotting Prometheans is still alive because, of course, vampire counts. And Vampire Coast with lore of vampires and crumbling, and basically you have immortal units more or less. As long as you have a healing cap space and Winds of Magic to heal them. But that's besides the point. Phoenix is continuing to fight here. Look out in the periphery. The zombies have gone on an absolute journey, but the Lothern Sea Guard are now pretty healthy, and if the mortar can be shut down, the two mortars rather, secure the Lothern Sea Guard and, kind of bring them in with their ammo, they can come back in, start to skirmish, keep, kind of picking away here. The balance of power definitely showing slightly in the High Elves' favor at this point, but still absolutely anyone's battle. The handguns will need to finish off the dragon, though, and the Phoenix, which is definitely easier said than done. Again, look at that friendly fire from the bombers. Man, these guys just, they don't care at all about friendly fire, apparently. They also have poison, which Deepwood Scouts do not, which is a pretty important distinction for Shadow Walkers. But yes, here, I really like the pick of the Tyrannok Chariots, honestly. The skirmish kind of melee hybrid, able to prove to be effective here. 76 kills, 86 there. We have a look at some of these other units. 53 over there, so good stuff. Will it be enough to finish into the late game? Lothern Sea Guard coming forward now, starting to make their presence felt after that zombie counterattack was fended off. And those rotting Prometheans still somehow alive. The mortar crew taking a nice charge from the Phoenix there. Phoenix wants to take out that mortar crew as quickly as possible, obviously. But the Lothern Sea Guard, yeah, that's going to be kind of a key here. We are going to fast forward a little bit as we kind of get through this engagement. Quite the long shooting engagement, which is fine, but not the most exciting thing to watch always. The bombers in particular are, because of their high DPS, are pretty dangerous, but looks like just pistol mob summons aren't going to do a whole lot to the Prince. He is just about at his healing cap, but of course the Phoenix potentially can get its self-replenishment as well. Should put a lot on the balance of power. Let's see if it actually does here. It could go below the threshold just now, but yeah, very close game. And Aristodemos has had to play this one very, very patiently to not get overextended, his units caught out, and to try and force the Vampire Coast out of position, which he has been able to do so far pretty effectively. So let's continue to fast forward here as he uses up the last of his ammo on those Lothern Sea Guard. The Phoenix does not get its healing proc before it comes back from route there, so that's a little bit unfortunate, but thankfully the zombie, it's not the zombie dragon. He's not a zombie dragon yet. Definitely won't be if the Elves have anything to do about it, and you can see the balance power does slowly start to turn as the High Elves just kind of wear them down over time with chariot charges. Not really enough to stop them. There's the one unit of guns, still pretty healthy, but yeah, it's just not going to be enough at the end of the day. Noctilus himself is still a bit of a raid boss, but once he gets cornered by multiple single entities, he will get taken out. Yeah, just like that. So, leads to critical army losses and a victory for the High Elves. I agree, Aristo. I think that the Skaven should absolutely ignore friendly fire penalties. I totally agree. 100%. 100%, yeah. No rebirth needed. It looked like maybe it got it anyway, but yeah. Chariot, 191 kills on the Noble, 144 for the Prince, 157 for Lothar and Seagard, 101, 99, and 54. Tyrannok Chariots, 139, 115, 2 XP chevrons for those guys, 56, 66, and another XP chevron plus 1 for the Phoenix. So very, very good stuff. I like that elf build a lot, I have to say. It's simplistic, but, you know, it works. It works. The Tyrannok Chariots are very underrated, in my opinion. So, let's see. How much more do we have to get through here? We have one more Aristo Dragon King. And then Aristo's got a couple of Beach Day. Orion and the Ladies Beach Day. And then we've got a couple of ones from Chosen One. I'm actually going to take a break for just a second. And go grab a drink of water, just stretch my legs briefly. So let's put on the music again, and I'll be right back. Let's see, put this over here, and not the start text, but the be right back. Yes. Back in just a minute. Alright, and I'm back. Apologies about subjecting you to that terrible music for so long. It is not the Medieval 2 soundtrack, which is my usual fare, but I figured it was something to kind of keep the silly mood going. And let's get back to it. Got a few more replays to get through here. So welcome, welcome. Appreciate it, Shetland. Yeah, that's one of my favorite thumbnails from the past. And I do like to pull it out from time to time just for such occasions. So let's get to the last few replays here. We've got some more Aristo Dragon King. And I believe we were just going to this one against Norska. So this time we actually do have some dragon princes. And I have to say, Aristo, it does make me a little bit sad. But that you did not take the Nagaraith faction when doing this faction, because doing this challenge rather, because then we would have seen the Tuxedo Princes, but that's okay. We still got some Illyrian Reaver archers up front, some more Tyrannok chariots, very nice. A Flamespire Phoenix, looks like dragon princes hidden here in the woods. Silverhelms, actually. Storm Riders, the Regiment of Renowned Lothern Seaguard, which you very, very rarely see because they are terrible. I've got a Tyrannok chariot, dragon princes. And yeah, the Dragon Princes are over here. As for the Norskins, we've got Throg. Looks like Norskin Trolls, more Ice Trolls, Warhounds, more Ice Trolls. So yeah, participating in the Troll Challenge, absolutely. And definitely getting fully into the spirit here with, what, like 8 units of Trolls in total? This is going to be interesting. 2 units of Dragon Princes versus 8 units of Trolls. Who will win? Let's see. Of course, there are the bows on the Elves' side, but one clean charge from Dragon Princes will annihilate Trolls, but that Frostbite and heavy weapon damage from the Ice Trolls in particular will be pretty painful. So, yeah. Right now, the Elves doing a great job, though, just skirmishing away. I mean, obviously, the Trolls, they're going to take this damage, which is okay. Ha! Did that Fireball actually kill a Dragon Prince? That's kind of hilarious, considering that Dragon Princes have 70% fire resistance. It was still enough to just one-shot a single individual model. Like, that Dragon Prince in particular doesn't have enough fire resistance, I guess. But Trolls coming forward, making a little bit of contact here. You get countercharged by Chariots, which is an interesting play. It's definitely a power move right there. But the Dragon Princes, like I said, all they need is one good clean charge. They'll absolutely wreck a unit of Trolls. And that unit of Trolls did just get absolutely wrecked. I mean, they're fully defeated and, like, models destroyed, you know, absolutely just wrecked. I mean, 4 models down, and they have a lot of regenerating to do before they'll be combat effective. The other Dragon Princes didn't fare quite so well, took some significant losses. They did inflict some HP damage on these Ice Trolls, but, yeah. Thankfully, the Phoenix, the Flamespire Phoenix has its work cut out for him here, because these Ice Trolls, rather, are 40% weak to fire damage, so the Phoenix can't actually, like, one-shot the models, but a nice multi-charge here from these Dragon Princes in multiple layers. Probably going to be able to break off this unit. Yep, this unit of Ice Trolls. A very nice use of the crown, Wintertooth Crown by Throg to make those Ice Trolls unbreakable, but that does mean they're probably actually just going to get shattered when that wears off. Yeah, because that particular unit was so low, they just get absolutely shattered there. Dragon Princes, unfortunately, one unit is basically down, the other unit is down on quite a bit of HP, so not the best. Meanwhile, over on the other side, these Storm Riders haven't even highlighted at all, but they came through with the Silverhelms, got a nice backline disruption, along with the the Sun Dragon Prince, able to break off those Ice Trolls, and again, that extra fire damage from the both the Sun Dragon and the Phoenix are going to be so key versus those Ice Trolls here. Meanwhile, the Storm Riders are running away from Marauders. They're actually 36 speed, are slightly faster than Marauders. They can get away there. And then these Reaver Archers probably going to charge into melee. Yep, get a nice melee charge to interrupt. Reaver Archer Cav have pretty good melee stats. 32-34 is really good, actually, for Skirmish Cav. With a, what is that, a 24 charge bonus? Not too bad. Meanwhile, the Prince is fighting Berserkers and Trolls alone. Not the best, but he should do okay there. The the rest of the fight, you can see the Norskins definitely won pretty decisively there and kind of scattered the Elves, but they do have some resources. Dragon Princess, Chariot, Flamespire Phoenix, they're still very healthy, just kind of waiting to find the ideal engagement here, as the balance of power is slightly in Norska's favor. These trolls, though, being broken is very important. Potentially using these Reaver Archers or other units to chase them off could be very good. Likewise, the Silver Helms. Just in general, having the mobility advantage here for the High Elves will be very important. Due to Trolls' low leadership, the potential for just a quick route and then chasing them off with these light cavalry is definitely a possibility. Nice breath attack on these clumped up trolls here. I don't know how much damage this is going to do, but actually it looks like it might have taken out at least one model there. Nice fireball, swing and a miss. Dragon Princes and the Silver Helms mostly pretty much done for. These Dragon Princes are way out in the periphery trying to snipe out these ice trolls. Yeah, Aristo just being very, very patient. Again, keeping going at those isolated units and just trying to not get caught too off guard here. The Storm Riders are just kind of hanging back, still providing some ranged fire. The Norskins could potentially choose to just rush in on the Storm Riders, but then you've got all these surrounding units kind of pulling you apart. Very nicely done breaking those ice trolls, using the Dragon Princess to shatter them. Very important so they don't come back. And you can see that consistent kind of picking away has equalized the balance of power somewhat. A nice fireball. Oh man, doesn't quite detonate that chariot, but gets a lot of HP damage there. But suddenly this Famir Balefiend finds himself isolated. A little bit of a positioning error from Norska here, and could potentially cost him big time, as the Prince comes in, gets a big ol' attack alongside the Phoenix, both of them just smacking that Famir super hard. Yeah, look at that HP just disappear, as a poor Famir boy gets eaten alive. The Trolls are going to try and come in and save him. There's still a very healthy unit of Berserkers here as well, but it's not enough. Curse the Midnight Wind dropped. The debuff, the melee attack, hit chance of all these units. Dragon Prince is doing okay, but what's this? Also going to get a Uranus Thunderbolt as well. Right on top of some Trolls. Oh man, absolute brutality. We've seen that can actually like one-shot Hippogriff models from Hippogriff Knights, so actually, it helps to finish off those Trolls' leadership, and you can see those Berserkers that were healthy about 5 seconds ago are now feeling very unhealthy, as they're down just about half their models, more than half their HP. Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good. The Hiles have managed to claw this balance of power back pretty significantly. Throg's still fighting here, but that weakness to fire on those Ice Trolls definitely showing quite a bit at this point. Unfortunately, it looks like the Storm Riders finally got dealt with. It's probably the best I've ever seen them do, which is even, then again, not that great, but yeah, the Tyrannok Chariots charge in, but that does leave Throg a little bit isolated here. Bristow kind of using the Phoenix to anchor this engagement, then get a Breath Attack. Breath Attack doesn't make the best contact in the world, but will it be enough to actually break those Ice Trolls? Oh man, those Ice Trolls just getting immediately terrified. That's super painful. And a nice Harmonic Convergence on the Prince. Of course, the extra fire damage against Throg. And he suddenly is all caught between a rock and a hard place. Dragon Prince is coming in for a side charge here. We've also got the Reavers charging in. High Elves going all in to try and finish this engagement and finish Throg off here. That Prince, he's doing okay. Will he actually win, though? It's pretty close at the end of the day. And Throg's no pushover. I mean, he is being debuffed by Curse the Midnight Wind now after that Harmonic Convergence is worn off. It looks like he takes a few successive hits, and that is going to tilt the balance of power very quickly. Throg gets terrified and actually killed by the Phoenix, and that's it. That's all she wrote. I said that's all she wrote. The Ice Trolls, come on, there we go. All it takes is some Flaming Phoenix Feces and one more Breath Attack to seal it off. Cauterize it, if you will. Yeah, that was good. That was really, really good, honestly. Great use of a nice mobile build to just kind of pick your opponent apart there. Very low model count, but still effective. Yeah, Anticity kind of got pushed into a rough situation there, and honestly, all things considered, did pretty well. Ended up being super, super close there at the end of the day, but yeah, Ice Trolls are just that weakness to fire, man. They get hit so hard by units with any kind of fire damage. Oh yeah, very cool, Kite. so let's see. Alright, so next up, looks like we've got Beach Day, Orion versus Snitch for Skaven, and it's just pretty much a Skaven build. 2 Giselles, Warp Lightning Cannon, or sorry, 3 Giselles, Warp Lightning Cannon, yada yada. Boring Skaven. Not boring necessarily, but meta. Yeah, Plague Priest, we've got Grinders, we've got Snitch. It's not necessarily super meta, but he's pretty good. Yeah, it's a Skaven build. You can see the Glade Riders and Orion in a risky Vanguard going to go all in and just start to get absolutely lit up. But that does mean the rest of this army comes forward here. We've got Hawk Riders, War Dancers, more War Dancers, just all the War Dancers, swords and spears in the world. And yeah. Oh man, Orion's in trouble already though. You can see he's getting sniped super hard by the Giselles. Snitch is coming after him, and because of Snitch's scaling damage, he's actually probably the one person who's really good at killing Orion. One of the very, very few who can do a lot of damage to him, and Orion's basically done at this point. I mean, maybe Snitch gets really unlucky here, but oh yeah, big hit there. Giselles continuing to pump in shots, and just like that, that's probably the fastest I've ever seen Orion go down, to be honest. Yeah, Snitch is really an ideal character for taking him down. But look at these Hawk Riders just come in and absolutely delete these Giselles in like 3 seconds. That's awesome. Very nice to see that, although they are immediately going to pay the price to the other Giselles because, you know, Skaven. The War Dancers start to blend through the front line, but it'll take them some time to kind of work back here. Excuse me. Yeah. Hagbane tips kind of pulling away here. They are going to be able to do some damage to those Rat Ogres. It looks like they're doing a lot of friendly damage as well, though. And despite the fact that Orion got insta-sniped, I don't think this is necessarily too bad for the Wood Elves. We'll see. But the Manticore disruption's pretty good at this point. Oh, man, just barely got caught by that seismic snare. That is very unfortunate situation there. But yeah, the aggressive rush coming through. The War Dancers are just going to be so good here, and they will get drained out by the Mortis Engine over time. But you can see these Azrai Spear, the Hawk Riders, once they get involved, they can potentially help to take out this Plague Priest. We'll see. Another Manticore being summoned up, going to be thrown into the back line there, and yeah, Hawk Riders. Oh man, they just took so much damage from those Giselles. I mean, granted, they've already paid for themselves by taking out 1 unit of Giselles, but yeah, the Snitch deals with this Manticore while the other one drops down to drop on the Natty Boobos there, try and keep them from firing. The Plague Priest still being healthy worries me somewhat. I do think the Elves still have a pretty good chance to pull this one out potentially, but yeah, the War Dancers being caught up here is not great also, although they can kill the Warp Grinders very quickly potentially. Looks like instead opting to push through and try and get in on some of these other backline targets like the weapons teams. Obviously very good idea. Looks like a Pendulum. Yeah, Pendulum going to be dropped there. Does some pretty good damage. The Manticore also pushing through. This is good. And the War Dancers with Azrai Spears able to get that Warp Lightning Cannon shut down. But the Rat Ogres really need to be taken out, and yeah, it's just not enough sustain, unfortunately, with these War Dancers. Pretty small model count. You don't really have enough sustain against shock damage like Rat Ogres or against the attrition of something like a Plague Priest. So yeah, it's just gonna kind of run out of steam a little bit there. You really need Orion to anchor this one, but yeah, thanks for playing, Aristo. Great job, and yeah, you are a true master memer, I have to say. You memed with Tirnock Chariots, which is like an extra level meme, so congratulations, sir. Wood Elves are tricky, and they're doing okay here. They're going to continue to try and fight as best they can, but without Orion really would be the anchor here. It's not going to be too great. Yeah, pretty quickly they'll start to fall apart. GG, though. That's a good question. Yeah. I agree, Falcon. I wish they would rework it somehow so that he's just more tanky throughout the course of the entire game, like somebody like Vlad or like Volkmar or something. But yeah. Yeah, like maybe if Klokovisha had like multiple stages where like the lower health he got, the tankier he got, but it wasn't so extreme at the late stage, so you could actually finish him off. Because a lot of times people get in that situation where they don't quite have the tools to finish him off, and then he just carries the game in the late game. I mean, you can say that about a lot of lords too, though, like Noctilus or, you know, Vlad, again, Volkmar. A lot of lords that can do that to you, but that's when you take Durthu. Durthu is probably objectively much stronger than Orion at the end of the day, I would say. But, yeah, Orion gets a little cheesy sometimes. Let's look at one more with Orion and the ladies. And yeah, on this map, going to be going straight up the pipe. He's got a pretty strong force up on the hill as well. Orion and Vanguard coming in from the steel chair, right side. Or with the steel chair from the right side. I don't know. Let's just say stage right. And yeah, we've got Sisters of Thor in the back as well for the dwarfs. It's a dwarf build. Grombrindle with Organ Gun, Thunderers, Miners with Blasting Charges, which are going to be just disgustingly effective here. Yeah, this is bad. This is not going to be good at all. Oh man. Ouch. Ow, ow. All of it just hurts so much, to be honest. Look at the balance of power within a minute of the battle, just getting melted, absolutely melted by those missiles and the blasting charges and everything, and that's the problem. That's the problem with high armor, low armor, high value units. That can happen to you, and then your day is basically over, right, at that point. I don't know if Durthu beats Kolek alone, but I mean, for cost, like, you can have him with the Manticore summon, so that's the thing about Durthu is, and not only that, but he can hide, which, I don't know, a lot, like, it's really hard to quantify to say, like, how valuable being able to hide a giant armored single entity is. I mean, it does come at the cost of being a little bit slow, but because of his heavy armor and physical resistance, and the fact that you can hide him, that alone makes him super unique. Not to mention, I mean, he's such a strong combatant, has Lore of Beasts to boot, and has access to healing as well, so, I mean, yeah, his Sword of Death, I don't know. For Kolek, I think Kolek probably 1v1 would beat him, but again, that's not a fight that I think Durthu would ever have to take 1v1, necessarily, if that makes sense. Yeah, this didn't go well for the Elves from the start. You are correct. That being said, though, they're still fighting. I mean, the Elves are still pushing through. They've got Manticore summons. Orion's come through. They kind of broke up this flank a little bit. The Dawi over towards the rock side are still making a pretty strong stand, but, I mean, the Elves are not out of this yet. Balance of power is not looking good, but we've seen Orion carry games before, and as long as he doesn't get himself hit by all the burst damage in the world, he should be fine. And dwarfs are one of the worst factions when it comes to burst damage, having basically no melee burst. Maybe outside of Slayers. Oh, that'll do it, though. Grombrindle has melee burst. He's got a lot of weapon strength, and with that smoke bomb, that does mean that Orion's melee defense will be debuffed, and he can get taken out here. Yeah, just as I was saying, dwarfs don't have enough burst. The smoke bomb Slayer combo proves me wrong. Yeah, and with Orion's end, that's game, set, match. Pretty much for the Wood Elves here, I'd be very surprised if they're able to weather that. Yeah, balance of power teetering dangerously close to critical army losses. Durthu loses to Kolek 1v1, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, again, Durthu is the fact that he's the strongest caster monster lord hybrid. Like, I don't know, actually. Mazdamundi is arguably stronger because he has better spells and more HP, but caster monster lord hybrids are the strongest lords in the game, right? Like, by default, because it's an all-in-one package where you get your caster and lord in one, and they're also just an incredibly strong, like, world beater level combatant. Mazdamundi isn't quite, in terms of his combat stats, like world beater level. He has harmonic convergence though, which can make him on that level. He also has nets and healing, and greater arcane conduit, and a AoE damage resistance buff. So, I mean, Mazdamundi I'd put at the top, but Durthu is definitely a close second in terms of monster caster lords having access to Lore of Beasts, which is very strong. Again, he can hide, got super heavy armor. He also has access to healing on his roster. That's not necessarily on him himself, but that is a factor. Yeah. Malekith, you'd say Malekith is stronger. Yeah, I can see that. There's an argument to be made for Malekith there, and keep in mind that this entire discussion is excluding all vampire counts lords, because we're just not talking about them in this power curve. Yeah, dwarfs are harder now because Organ Gun kill elven models. Yes, that is true. Archaon is not a monster. Absolutely not. He's a horse lord, which horse lords are actually not great right now. Like, I would be honest, taking Archaon on foot is probably a better idea in most situations than taking him on a horse, sadly. Like, foot lords are actually better than horse lords right now, weirdly enough. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Durthu does have his laser attack as well. Valid point. Very valid point. Okay, so we just got 2 more replays to get through. Chosen One doing Lizardmen, and it's Dundee's Hell. I think this is we saw potentially one of these already, the one against Tank, right? Just quickly checking here. Yes, okay, so Chosen One's going full Crocs. We already saw this one, so I'm going to back out of this, and we can check in on the last one. Yeah, Flock of Doom is really good. I mean, the Manticore summons alone make Lore of Beasts like one of the best lores of magic in the game. That one spell probably puts it like on par with Lore of Fire, I would say. And then you also have Flock of Doom, Amber Spear. The other 2 buff spells are okay. They're not amazing, but they're okay. Curse of Honor Hair, pretty expensive, but I've seen it used to good effect on occasion. Yeah, okay. So, Chosen One this time going full Crocs against Bretonia. This should be interesting. Croc score Ancient, 5 regular Croc scores, 2 Sacred, and the Dread Saurian. Yep. Samation, you're correct. He can do a lot of damage. The problem with Horse Lords is reach and stagger. That's the 2 problems. They get staggered very, very easily. In fact, they can get stagger locked like consistently. And they don't have enough reach to hit monsters. So, like, what happens to Horse Lords is they get hit by a monster, they get staggered and usually pushed back, and then they have to move forward to do another attack animation while the monster can still hit them at reach, right? So that's the issue with Horse Lords, is stagger and reach. Like, they have a hard time fighting monsters because of that. They really need to... I honestly don't know how they could fix it other than increasing the reach, which would then lead to like doing attack animations into the air kind of far away from the monster, which might look a little bit silly, to be honest, but I can't really think of another great solution to like help Horse Lords in that situation, you know, because they're just constantly getting pushed back when they're fighting monsters. I guess maybe you could increase their mash so they don't get pushed back quite so much, but I don't know how exactly that would work with the animations. But anyway, Bretonians, Chevaliers here, they going with the Quad Hippo challenge again, it looks like. Don't know if this is a challenge or just for fun. But Croc scores over here on the low ground, getting massacred by the Knights of the Realm here. and Raponce. Oh no, sorry, not the Quad Hippo challenge, just Raponce. Raponce's faction here. I guess one of the challenges was to win with their faction, right? I don't know, I'd have to check. But the companions are getting absolutely wrecked by the Dreadsaurian here. They have been doing a pretty good job against some of these Croc scores and other units in here. But yeah, Damsel got caught up as well and just absolutely massacred. And this is another reason why cavalry are kind of bad. Because, I mean, you would think fighting like an ideal target like this, they'd be doing a lot of damage. But in fact, they're not really. I don't know exactly what the issue is with their targeting here. But now they're starting to get hits on those Sacred Croc scores. And yeah. Balance power still pretty close. Raponce is able to help round off some of the Croc scores on the low ground. Up on the high ground, they are pretty bogged up. These Holy Wardens, man, they are gonna struggle. The Battle Pilgrims are basically useless here, not completely, but oh man. Hey, Shetland coming in with the 5th. True champ, thanks for casting in one go. Hey, my pleasure, man. My pleasure. It's good practice for me to get a lot of replays, get reps, live casting like this, right? Especially for what I'm trying to do. So yeah, thank you. It's been a lot of fun. Not a typical kind of day, definitely. Definitely some different builds, some fun stuff you don't see every day. And it's great to see players challenging themselves. I kind of recorded another video along that theme of a replay Felcon sent me. What was it, yesterday? The day before? I can't remember exactly, but yeah. It's always fun to see great players challenging themselves with silly builds. Definitely. Yeah, right? It's pretty sad that Bretonia can't beat this meme. And I mean, granted, again, the Battle Pilgrims are basically completely wasted here. Not quite. But it's actually pretty close. You can see Raponce is trying her best, taking out these Rock'em Sock'em Crocodiles. And yeah, because of the low model count, the Lizardmen are going to end up being isolated quite a bit. Over here on the low ground, these Croc scores getting somewhat isolated. One of them just angrily pursuing Raponce, but yeah, he needs to stay in a blob as much as possible, because this build fights best in a blob. But let's see. I'm going to fast forward a little bit as he pursues Raponce. Finally, the Battle Pilgrim squad catches up, and actually these Battle Pilgrims are not doing terribly against the Sacred Croc scores. I mean, they're doing pretty bad, but the Spears actually do a little bit better here because of the anti-large, and yeah, they're doing okay. They're actually poking down those Croc scores right there, so very impressive stuff from those Spearmen-at-Arms with shields, with some chevrons as well. I like that quite a bit. Knights of the Realm come in, just get absolutely deleted by the Dreadsaurian. And Raponce is also in here, getting deleted by the Dreadsaurian, probably. Dreadsaurian's up to rank 4, and climbing up to 81 melee attack. That's with the Horn of Kygor buff there. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, look at the Paladin and Raponce. A couple hits will be enough, but actually it looks like it whiffs on a few of its melee attacks there, which is pretty lucky. Miasma of Despair debuffing leadership, speed, and vigor, but Raponce doesn't seem to be too worried about it. And yeah, over here, these Sacred Croc scores actually took a lot of damage from those Spearmen-at-Arms, and now the Battle Pilgrims, just through sheer weight of numbers, can kind of come in and clean up. You have quite a few units out in the periphery kind of forgotten about as well, but still a very, very close fight. As you can see, the Sacred Croc scores just scrapping here. The last few Beastlayers of Baston, they have pretty low weapon damage, so they're not going to do a lot of DPS, but I just don't see Raponce necessarily and the Paladin carrying this hard enough. I just don't think they have enough damage output to really get it done. And the Saurian, all it takes is a couple lucky attacks from the Saurian, and this is all over, right? So, actually turn the foliage off again. So yeah, Raponce is here. Looks like the Paladin gets routed off, though. That's really bad news for Raponce, because it means she's going to be now isolated, and probably will take the full brunt of these attacks. So far, though, she's been rolling her melee defense very, very well, and has not taken any really huge hits from that Dreadsaurian, which is very lucky, to be honest. The Saurian now having a hard time kind of pathing through its own Croc score models here. It does a little bit of stutter stepping as it gets attacked in the back by those guys. Looks like Raponce pops her little buff thing there, but yeah, like I said, all it takes is a couple lucky hits from a few different units to do a lot of damage. Sword of Leonesp gets popped, but yeah, that Horn of Kygor buffing up the melee attack of all these different units very, very strong. The Howdah shots will come in, do a little bit of extra leadership damage, and Rapunz is gone. And sad for Bretonnia. Probably going to lose this. The Dread Saurian actually gets routed, but I think the Krogscore Ancient might be able to carry. He's also got a few regular Krogscores here fighting. Rapunz comes in for her final stand. But yeah, all it takes is one hit on her. He actually finishes her off there. And that's it. At least one meme win for the Crocodiles. And poor Bretonnia can't even beat a silly build like this. And again, Battle Pilgrim's basically wasted here. But even still, that is just sad, to be honest. Oh, man. Yeah, mostly of Rapunz and Henry, yep. Yeah, I think that's all the replays I got from you. Let me just double check here on the chat. I think that was it. Let me double check. Our conversation. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was it. So thank you all for coming out. Been an absolute pleasure. Yeah, big thanks again to Shetland for the awesome replays and for putting the tournament on. Some really great games. That Gorse game in particular, that was just absolute madness. Gorse air spam battle? I don't know if anyone wants to see that. Risto, that just sounds like terrible to me. Yeah, let's see. See if you've got any more. Checking some things here. Okay, here we go. Got one more. We'll end it on a Gorse game because that's appropriate. Here we go. It was a vampire mirror. Oh no! Oh no! What have we gotten ourselves into? This is gonna be abysmal, but I guess we'll bring ourselves to do it. Well, here we go. We've got Vampire Lord of Death, Shadows, Terror Goose, we've got some Vargeist, and yeah. Helman Gorst is on the ground somewhere, apparently. Where is he? Over here? Oh, over here, hiding in the woods with a bunch of skeletons and zombies and a Balefire corpse cart. Of course, he does need X number of corpse carts, so they're all there. And as for the other vampire counts, they've gone with a lot more of what I would say is a competitive build. With the Mortis engine, he's got just a regular Balefire, or no? What is that? Regular corpse cart, not even an Unholy Lodestone. Necromancer on foot, bunch of chaff on the ground, so we're going to have an air spam battle, looks like. We'll go ahead and fast forward until we get there, because, yeah, a lot of positioning, which is really code for zombies shuffling slowly across the field. Man. Yeah, this is the worst. I think this might be the worst replay I've ever seen. Maybe. Maybe. Oh, yeah. So, this is happening. Lots of positioning, again. Zombies shuffling. Oh, nice hit right to the face on the breath attack there. Aristo does get a nice full surround here. Good positioning, to be honest. And the Mortis engine drives in, starts cycle charging, which I guess is a thing. The zombie blob gets going, and the air spam battle gets also underway in a very chaotic and messy way that no one can understand until all of a sudden everyone dives down to the ground in a giant mess. This is exactly what we wanted. Yeah, hard to make sense of what's going on at all, to be honest, but we can kind of look at things here. The Blood Dragon Lord is in the air. He's got his Helm of Discord active, but he has to pull away because he's getting chased by Vargeist, which actually doesn't make sense to me. The Terror Goose also comes back up in the air, and for some reason all of the non-Gorse vampire units went over up on this side rather than trying to support their lord. But now we get a proper just mess air battle going with Vargeist, Bats, Terror Goose, Blood Dragon, everything just in a giant mess. It looks like an upgraded Dance Kebab for the Blood Dragon's forces. He's also got literally every single effect in the game on him right now, so that's interesting. Meanwhile, in the ground fight, this is what we all really want to see. Screw what's happening in the air with all those expensive units. I want to watch some zombies and skeletons slap each other a bit. And the corpse carts. Let's not forget the corpse carts. Very important. And you might think that the Mortis engine gives the Blood Dragon's forces a significant advantage here, but remember, Gorst is also a Mortis engine. He may look like a corpse cart, but he actually has the Reliquary Unbinding, the Reliquary Corruption, whatever it's called. Yeah, Reliquary Corruption from the Mortis engine on his corpse cart. So he is actually slowly but surely draining his enemy's forces away here. And would you look at the balance of power? The Blood Dragon's been all beat up. The Terror Geese are winning the fight, and it looks like Helman Gorse blob is by far the superior blob. So I think we've learned something important, assuming that this finishes out the way that I anticipate, which, I mean, I guess it could not. There's always a chance because silly undead crumbling mechanics, that something weird could happen, and Blood Dragon could get back in this game, but right now, Aristo's doing a great job staying focused on finishing off that Blood Dragon. I mean, the Goose can come over, but the Goose is one Goose versus two Geese, plus an angry dragon, an angry Vampirist. The other Vampirist comes over, and suddenly with Helm of Discord, maybe this will get turned around by the Blood Dragon, but remember, Gorst is much superior to this Mortis engine, and his superior number of corpse carts will allow him to win this disgusting zombie mess. I think this might be the best replay I've ever seen. Or sorry, the worst replay I've ever seen. Blood Dragon flies away. He's pretty close to crumbling, though. Doesn't have a whole lot in terms of cap space left, so that's not great. The vampire is here, though, gets caught, takes a big chunk. I don't think that the Blood Dragon getaway gets a nice stagger from the Gorse girlfriend. And down goes the Blood Dragon, of course. With that will put a permanent debuff on all of his units. But now, can these geese win in the air? I think they can. All Aristo now needs to do is kind of turn around, get a nice surround, and try and go all in on taking out these units. And suddenly, the Blood Dragon's forces realize this. Those Vargeists are probably going to crumble pretty quickly. And I think this is a victory for Gorse. It might take some time. But this Goose on the loose is going to come down and get a nice rear attack on this Mortis engine, try and help speed the balance of power along. And yeah, meanwhile up here, Gorse, Death GF gets taken out here, but his Shadow GF looks pretty healthy. You know, I say that, she's actually still fighting because of course, crumbling. There, she finally gets taken out. So one more air unit down. One Goose is not two Geese. Yes, you are correct. Yes, two Geese beat one Goose. Absolutely. The Mortis engine's actually holding out quite well, as is Helman Gorst. They're literally just like touching each other in this mess of go-karts. Look at this. Look at this. What horror has been unleashed upon the world today? This is the worst thing I've ever seen. There are 4 corpse carts in a surround. One of them's not technically attacking the Mortis engine, but there are 4 corpse carts in a surround trying to attack the Mortis engine, who is trying to attack back while the important fight happens up in the air. It looks like a Vampirist is going to finish off that Goose, while the other 2 Geese finish off the Vampirist, because only such things are possible. Oh, man. Yep. That's funny. Oh, Shetland, that's a spicy. At this point, all that is left is to actually take out the Mortis engine, and with 2 geese now finally free to impose their will. Yeah, they don't even need to. Just the geese honking from the air is enough to take down the Mortis engine, and Gorst's blob, of course, proves superior. So what did we learn today? We learned that Gorst is the most competitive Vampire Count's Lord by far. I mean, he beat the Blood Dragon head-to-head. How could he not be, right? And with that takeaway, I think it is time to end. So yes, Vampire Counts, not only are they one of the best factions in the game, but Helm Gorst is one of the strongest lords of the game. Is this an erroneous conclusion to come to? I'll let you decide that. But certainly, you should take Helm Gorst seriously if you run into him on the battlefield. Absolutely a terror in the night. Play a vampire mirror against the AI. I'm gonna go with a no on that, Aristo, but thank you. Thank you. Much appreciated, guys. Yeah, it's been a great stream today, so hopefully you all have enjoyed. I know I sure have. 3 corpse carts versus 1 corpse cart. It's 4 corpse carts. You gotta remember, it's a corpse cart and Mortis engine in 1. And that's why it's 2 of the best units in the game. The Mortis engine and the corpse cart combined into your lord, right? That's why Helm Gorst is the best lord in the game. And with that, I really do need to end. We'll see you guys later. Thanks again to Shetland, and yeah, bye-bye now.